The rule of law can only be effective if everyone plays their part. This includes businesses, institutions, and organizations. But how do we make these spaces more just and sustainable? Mindy Leow is a social entrepreneur and head of community building at B Labs Australia and New Zealand. Mindy, you have some insights into how we might transform organizations, businesses, and make them more sustainable and just. Where do we begin?
You can think very traditionally, the success in business has been defined through profits and quarterly earnings and share price. And what we're saying is, well, we have to do better than that. We have to really look at what other impacts we're having on workers, on the environment. Really, there's so many other stakeholders involved.
Taking care of the environment, taking care of employees, those are some of the elements that would make or render a company sustainable. Are those the benchmarks? What are we looking at?
The 5 areas are impact on workers, impact on community that you operate from and in, impact on the supply chain, which is part of the community, impact on environment, customers, as well as governance.
For businesses to be sustainable, they have to create long-term value by considering their ecological, social, and economic impact.
One of the values is to shine a light on these businesses and also to debunk the myth that profit and purpose has to be a trade-off. So you have to choose between the two. And what's interesting is that more and more we're seeing that profit and purpose goes hand in hand. There's so many benefits that comes back to a company. When you choose purpose, we're seeing that in terms of customer loyalty, the expectations of consumers really heading towards, responsible companies and responsible products.
So would you say we're looking at a bit of a paradigm shift in many ways, going from looking at how companies could possibly minimize harm to looking at how they can actually positively contribute to the world around them? And that's a very big difference in a way.
Absolutely. And I personally think of corporate social responsibility, CSR, as sort of, the feel-good thing that companies do on the side often. And I think the evolution is this rethinking of the purpose of business. Why do businesses exist? And I think we're seeing more and more is that companies are not just thinking more consciously around the impact of their operations, but also of their business model. So we see new generations of businesses coming up with solutions that are specifically addressing societal problems. And a really good example is the circular economy business models, where we're trying to remove the concept of waste when you're making a product.
Moving towards a more circular economy could deliver benefits such as reducing pressure on the environment, stimulating innovation, and creating jobs.
We're seeing that in the millennials, the younger generation, that are looking to work for purpose-driven companies, and they demand their employers to address societal issues and take lead on that. And very encouragingly, in the investor circle as well, at least a third of investments in Australia, for example, are in some form of responsible investment. And that, is only set to grow globally. So that's really encouraging because the expectations of business is changing.
What are some of the difficulties that you encounter in your journey of trying to make these businesses more sustainable?
There are many well-meaning entrepreneurs who want to do good things and want to use their business as a force for good, but they face structural challenges. And one of them is basically to enable the law to change, to recognize that companies can have a dual purpose of considering stakeholders in their decision-making, and sometimes that may come at odds to shareholders. So we shine the light on purpose-driven companies that are achieving a high bar in their social and environmental performance, all the way in their operations through to their business model. And we're also engaging on changing the law globally to enable purpose-driven companies to hard code or bake in purpose into their constitution.
My main takeaway is that there is a new way of looking at corporate success, which includes an organic relationship between an organization, business, or institution and the world around it. Sustainability and justice are the key words for the future. Thank you for watching.